Look at this beautiful piece of carbon fiber. Let's just set it down on this nice dark surface and it's gone. Much better. We can actually see things now. So today we are talking about my FPV drone frame, the Skyliner. I came out with the first version in 2018. I wanted to create a frame that flew really well for FPV freestyle, but was also durable and easy to work on. So we had this front camera cage to protect the camera, and this was actually 28.5 millimeters wide because back in the day we had some pretty big analog cameras we were trying to fit. Was able to keep the top plate pretty low, so only 20 millimeter standoffs between the main plate and the top plate, so that gave us a nice center of gravity, and we had 5 standoffs separating the main and the top plate, 4 in the back and 1 up front. I was really happy with this frame, but when DJI came out with the first real solution to flying FPV in HD, I knew I had to make some tweaks, so I designed the Skyliner HD. Now this second version allowed me to make some improvements I had been thinking about, but I also had to compromise on a couple of things because the original DJI air unit was so large. So I was able to make all the standoffs the same size because we weren't really flying such big analog cameras anymore, but I couldn't keep it 20 millimeters tall because of the size of the air unit. So we went with 25 millimeters all around. The whole thing had to get longer to accommodate the air unit, and to keep it from getting too much longer, I eliminated 2 of the standoffs that were in the rear and increased from 1 to 2 up front. Now this change ended up working out better than I expected, and I ended up preferring it over the original approach. It seemed that having just 2 standoffs up front and 2 in the back distributed the stress more evenly and didn't really create any focus points where breaks happen. This seemed to be even more durable. So it actually improved durability while also saving some weight and freeing up some space on the inside. I redid the whole shape of the camera plates to make it look nicer, and also rather than mounting the camera directly to the carbon fiber, I created these openings where you would put soft 3D printed inserts that the camera would mount to. So this allowed more flexibility for different type of cameras you might want to mount, and also found that having the camera mounted to the soft 3D printed material rather than directly to the hard carbon fiber provided some cushioning for the camera during crashes. This frame design has been out for over 2 years. It's done really well, but now we've got more options when it comes to HD FPV. From DJI, we've got the smaller Vista, and we've got more companies entering the scene like Fat Shark with the Avatar system. So it's time to come out with a new version, the Skyliner Mark III. The Skyliner Mark III is here, and I couldn't be happier with it. This wouldn't be possible without the support of some of the amazing members of the FPV community, so thanks to everyone who has supported the previous versions of this frame, and it's really exciting to get to continue to iterate and improve and come out with this newest version. As you can see from some of the comparison shots I've showed, it's not a huge change from what we had going on before. It's got the same classic wide X geometry, the same basic construction, but everything has been tweaked, everything has been refined. I think it makes a big difference, and I think this is the best Skyliner yet. So what do we have going on in the new version? So taking advantage of these smaller HD units, we were able to go down to 20 millimeter standoffs all around. So we were able to drop the top plate, which gives us better flight characteristics with that lower center of gravity, and shrink the camera cage a little bit more. The arm design is very similar, 4 millimeter thick carbon, long protrusion to protect the motors in the event of a crash. And while they are just a little bit narrower, they're still fairly wide. I just like the way that wide arms move through the air, and they also give you the option to use individual ESCs if you're a weirdo like me and still like to do that on some of your builds. As before, the main plate itself is 2 millimeters thick, but up front, where you're gonna want some extra durability, we've got a 4 millimeter reinforcement plate to make that front end just really tough. One of the features I did get rid of on the new version that these older versions had was soft mounting built into the frame. While I always thought this feature was cool, Nowadays, almost every flight controller you're gonna get has soft mounting built into the flight controller itself, and Betaflight has gotten so good with the filters and everything. Soft mounting built into the frame is kind of unnecessary and just makes the build more difficult and becomes kind of a failure point because those gummies could eventually wear out and crack. So we simplified the build by getting rid of that. In the rear, we've got 20 by 20 and 25 by 25 M2 holes, so that's gonna allow for mounting both the CATX Vista as well as the Avatar video transmitter. Now I've got some frames built up so we can take a look at how the entire build has kind of changed over time. On the original Skyliner, I've got it built with a flight controller with an integrated power distribution board. So we've got individual ESCs soldered up. We've just got an analog video transmitter taped in the back. And we've got a big analog FPV camera up front. Going over to the Skyliner HD, we've still got individual ESCs, but we've got a separate PDB and flight controller. In the back, we've got our big boy air unit, and up front, we've got our FPV camera mounted to the 3D printed bits. Now today, with the Mark III, while I might still build some drones with individual ESCs on the arms, I think I'm finally getting on board with 4-in-1 ESCs with these solder-free connectors that we've got going on at Rotor Riot. It just makes the build so quick, it makes repairs easier. One of the reasons I always stayed with individual ESCs was that if you burnt out one ESC, you could just replace that one ESC rather than having to solder up a whole new 4-in-1. But with these quick connectors, it's not too bad to just swap the 4-in-1. It's more expensive, but man, not having to solder is just so nice. Now in the back of this one, we've got the Avatar video transmitter. It just fits really nicely. And just for reference, I've also got one built up here with the Vista, and you can see how nicely that also fits. Of course, the cameras are up front. These 3D printed inserts that come with the frame have a bunch of different options, so whether you're using a 2-hole mounting camera or a 1-hole mounting camera or these smaller nano-sized cameras, you should be able to fit the camera where you want it to be so that it's protected without seeing too much of the frame in the camera view. And if you find some other camera that has a whole different mounting style or something new comes out or whatever, it's really easy to just swap out the 3D printed inserts so you can always optimize where your camera is in this cage. I am really happy with the Mark III. It's pretty much exactly how I'd want it. I didn't really have to compromise on anything. I didn't have to make room for some giant analog camera or a big old DJI air unit. Got to shrink everything down and make it tight and compact, but there's still plenty of room to fit all the components and work on it. And most importantly, it flies great, and even potentially more importantly, it takes a pretty good hit. I love having that confidence when I'm out flying and trying a new trick that if I crash, it's not gonna be too big of a deal, and that if I do end up breaking something, it's gonna be easy to work on, and I can probably do that repair out in the field. Especially with this solder-free stuff, man, it's super. I'm really pleased with this setup. I think it flies better than ever. I love the way it looks. It's just my favorite drone I've ever built. So with that, let's actually head out and fly this thing.
I would.
put that bush there. I am super proud of the Mark III and just really happy with the setup overall. It flies really great, looks good, and it takes a pretty good beating. This is just everything I would want in a freestyle drone. So if you guys are interested in picking one of these up, they're available now. And if you're not looking for a frame, no worries. I just appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm happy I got to share this with you all finally. I'll see you next time.